Hey guys, welcome back to Top Tier Sports. It's Thursday, so you know what that means. It's time for some NFL. As you know, we've been going through division by division and kind of seeing how predictions are going to work for the upcoming season, how teams will finish within the division, if they'll have a winning or losing record, and then, of course, if I think they can make playoffs. So, with that, we so far have done 7 of our 8 divisions. We have one more today, which is the AFC North. But before we get into that, a couple quick notes about around the league. I forgot to mention last week, first of all, Jordy Nelson retired just about 10 days ago. So congrats to Jordy Nelson retiring as a Packer, as that's where he served most, if not all but one season of his career, if I remember correctly. So that's incredible for him. I mean, that was his home, so it's great that he was able to retire as a Packer after not being there for his final season. Also, Antonio Brown continues with the whole helmet situation where we don't even know if he's going to play in this upcoming season. It all depends on how everything plays out because helmet formats have changed, and although he was allowed last year to keep his same helmet, he's now being told that will not be acceptable for this upcoming year. So we'll see how that turns out. Definitely some drama there, and you can watch all about it on Hard Knocks because they're covering the Oakland Raiders, soon to be the Las Vegas Raiders, for this season. Finally, the last note I want to say is best of luck to Andrew Luck with his health in the upcoming year. We already have heard the announcement that he is going to be out for all of preseason, so no preseason games, no preseason practice really. He's not in contact by any means, and now what started as a small foot injury has turned into a lower ankle or high ankle sprain possibly, and now he's already questionable for week 1. So as I said before, we always hate when the best players in the game don't get to play, and Andrew Luck, if healthy, has the potential to be one of those best players at all times at the quarterback position, so we want to see him out there as much as possible. With that, let's get into our last division, the AFC North. So at the very bottom of this division, I have the clear favorite to be the trash of the division, which is the Cincinnati Bengals. Although they have some weapons on offense with AJ Green, Joe Mixon has been pretty solid, and Tyler Boyd had his moments last year. The Bengals are just by far the worst team in this division, especially after all the adjustments that some of the other teams made. They ended last year. I don't see any reason that they won't end last this year, so we'll see how that plays out. However, the defense needs a lot of help with them, and Andy Dalton is not one of the best QBs in the league. He's good enough to get them by, but he's not going to be one who really wins them games all the time. So, next in the division, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I have the Ravens going 8-8 roughly this year, so not making playoffs, but the reason I have them declining after last year is actually because of the fact that they pretty much lost their whole defense, whereas last year their defense carried them. It was one of the best in the NFL. This year, a lot of those guys left. They signed other places. They kind of fell apart, and we'll see how that works for them. We don't know how it's going to be for Lamar Jackson. This is Lamar Jackson in his first full season as a lead quarterback for the team, and really just a lot of what ifs around this team. They still have the potential to be very good, maybe pull off some more wins than I think they will, but also if this team can't click after losing those pieces, after not having Joe Flacco as their QB primarily for a season for the first time in a long time, even though he's not elite, and after not having those defensive weapons, we'll see what they can do. Now, the final 2 teams in the division, the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. As you can see, and as you have seen in maybe a bunch of videos, if not said before in podcasts, I'm a diehard Steelers fan, and I'm really trying not to bring bias into this. So, with that being said, I actually have the Steelers coming in second in the division, but this is very up in the air because I have both teams going 10-6. This is one of the few times I've really tried to break down their record and see what they do. The Browns, I'm giving the edge to first because they have a slightly easier record slightly easier schedule, in my opinion, and for the upcoming year. So I think it's more likely they can pull off one more win than the Steelers can, or maybe the Steelers take one more loss than expected. So with that, I have the Steelers in second. Losing Antonio Brown, as much of a drama queen he may have been and may still be, is definitely a big hit for this team on the field. He just adds such a component to the game that is so hard for defenses to cover. He's one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best, and we'll kind of see how that plays out for the Steelers. It's also time to see if James Conner just had an excellent year, because he had to prove himself so that if Le'Veon Bell did come back, then he could still at least get carries or be the starting role. It's all on you, Conner. It's all on you. And as much faith as I have in him, from somebody objectively speaking, I need to kind of take a step back and maybe say, is he ready for this role altogether? Ben Roethlisberger's not getting any younger. He gets injuries here and there every single year. So if he goes down, I don't know if Mason Rudolph or Josh Dobbs is able to lead this team to the playoffs. I have no doubt they'll still get wins. And then, of course, our defense is very hit or miss. And although I really love our front seven, from a lot of the time, there will be games where it seems like rushers just break through here and there all over the place. Also, our secondary has always been a weak spot lately, so we'll kind of see how that plays out. Now there may be a Joe Hayden injury, and he may be out for part of the season. So there's a lot of what ifs around this team. I see, objectively speaking, the ability for this team to go as high as 11-5, maybe 12-4, pull off a few upsets, especially on home field. And I could see a floor of, I'd like to say no worse than 8-8, but realistically, who knows, maybe 7-9, 6-10 if all goes to hell. But I do have the Steelers going around 9-7, 10-6 for the upcoming year, and we'll kind of see how that plays out for them. Which means and I have the Steelers making playoffs as the second wild card if they can't pull off the division title. If for some reason things flip, I then have the Browns in the second wild card. First wild card is locked up for the Chargers. So, with that being said, first in the division is now going to be, for the first time in a long time, the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Browns have been making a lot of moves over the past few years. Everybody knows how much they've suffered between their own 16 season, the 1-15 season, but they had a real bright spot last year going 7-8-1, and I think this is the first year in a long time that they actually go over 500, and with that, I would see them winning the division. On paper, this team can be amazing. Denzel Ward is turning out great for them. Baker Mayfield is turning out great for them. Chubb is doing well. Now you have OBJ and Jarvis Landry as receivers, and really this offense could be quite dynamic as long as Baker Mayfield can stay playing to the peak level that he is at the moment. The defense, if any, is the soft spot on this team. Although they have these bright stars, the whole thing altogether is not as complete, and they need to make sure also that their O-line is keeping Baker safe. So it's definitely, if there's weak spots, those will be the spots that this team needs to look out for. We also need to see how Baker and OBJ chime together, but I don't see any way in which it won't work well. What will really come down to this division is the head-to-head matchups between all the division rivalries, along with especially the AFC games, because after your division record, it goes to your conference record to sort out tiebreakers, especially within the division. So we'll see how this year plays out. It's definitely going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, go Steelers. But as of right now, I have the Browns coming first, being the third or fourth highest record in the AFC with that 10-6 record and making playoffs. So good luck, Cleveland. I know this is a big deal for you, so we'll see how it goes. And with that, thank you for tuning in to Top Shelf Sports. Make sure to like, comment, smash that subscribe button. We know we want you back. You like our videos. You're obviously watching up to this point. Make sure to comment, let us know what you want changed, and we'll see what we can do in the future. Thanks, guys.